Good morning, Neo fam. It's Laser here with another weekend video analysis. It's 10 a.m. in the morning, and we're here to drop our analysis as to where we see Neo going into next week. I'm going to try my best, share my thoughts, let you guys know where I see it's going. We drop one of these videos once per week. It's usually around this time of the day. Usually get around noon. So this is actually going to be a little bit earlier. And sometimes when we head out for the day, I don't get a chance to bring it out until the evening. But I try my very best to get these videos out to you guys once per week, just so you guys can actually hear my thoughts and where I see Neo going into next week. And again, I wouldn't be making these videos if it weren't for all the people who have been watching this and also, liking and subscribing to my video. Thank you guys very much. If I haven't already told you, I really do appreciate you guys supporting my video and supporting my thoughts. And I don't actually get paid for this. I'm not making any YouTube ad revenue with this. I'm just doing this because I love this, actually, guys. So again, any type of feedback, I do appreciate that. Any type of questions, great. And even if you don't agree with my analysis, let me know, but please be nice. Otherwise, you will get the block. I'm not entertaining any trolls, whether it's on YouTube or Twitter. I have 2 accounts throughout the week. I'm posting my thoughts on Twitter and as well on YouTube. You guys get you can put a voice to the name, actually. The famous Laser. I mean, I'm not really famous, but maybe. Probably not, but you get the point. Anyways, diving right in here to our analysis. Let's jump right in. And before we jump right in, just so you guys know what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about NIO. We'll look at BABA. We're going to look at the Hang Seng Index. We're going to look at the Dixie really quickly. We're going to look at the SPY, and we'll touch up on Bitcoin just because I think it's all kind of interrelated. Having said that, let's jump right in, shall we? We'll talk about the good things. We'll talk about the bad things, and we'll talk about where I see NIO going into next week. Pretty much. So if I were to just jump right to the point to save you guys from having to hear my thoughts out, let me share what my thesis is for this video, and then I'll go ahead and explain why. And if you want to stick around to hear why, that's what this video is all about. I believe NIO, and again, this could be wrong. I'm just letting you guys all know. I believe it is setting up. This was part of a dead cat bounce, and it was a lower high, and it will come back down lower. Now, I don't want to say that for sure, and I want to draw some lines and let you know where I flip from thinking that it's going to come back down, potentially take the lows out. When will I change that stance? There's a couple of lines. First and foremost, we've seen this time and time and time again. So we'll do this. I think it was 1439 and it was 116. Big bounce off that fib. Big bounce. 409 is the goal that we want to get above. It tried breaking above, which it did do. Actually, it did break above. It tried holding, and it wasn't able to hold. And I'll point out a couple last 2 times where it wasn't able to hold. It tried again until it was successful, and you got it. So if next week we get that break above, expect it to come back down and give it that secondary test on the 409. So from a Fibonacci standpoint of view, it's still below the 409 level, which is very, very important. If it does get above and it's able to hold, I expect the first area where it will squeeze is 550, actually, is where you'd probably want to be targeting, which was the previous high, actually. And I think that's kind of like a really good level. You can see even on the rally prior to that, it took a pit stop right there. That 550 was a really good, and even this rally, 550 was huge. Here, 550 was support, and going all the way back here to basically IPO support resistance. So you can see this level was a very, very, very big level. And if it does squeeze, that's going to be your next level of where it's going to attack and it's going to battle. Now, let's go ahead and talk about where I see things going into next week. All right. I think this is going to be a lower high. Wrong tool. I do still believe this is potentially your lower high. That's the wrong example. I think it's your lower high, okay? And let me explain. and I might get this wrong, guys. I'm just going to try and explain this. Please don't. I hate the people who are like, you're Jim Cramer, and I'm going to reverse your trades, and you're always wrong. Okay, that's just like completely wrong. That's just not even true at all. Lower high pivot. Something's not adding up. There it is. And I think that's what it is. I think it's going to be a lower high pivot. I think it's going to break lower. And I do think you're going to actually potentially see it get pretty darn close to the lows, or potentially take the lows out. This is just like something we see over and over and over and over and over again. Who thought the lows were going to be taken out at 360? I didn't. I mean, like for a while I didn't, but it did. Right? You can go here. Who thought the lows here at 481 were taken out? It did. It always finds a way to take out those lows. And even here, even after it got its first breakout, it still managed to find a way to take out the lows. Breakout, and it still takes those lows out. So here's what I think. I think we're going to reject here, and I'll get into the reasoning behind that. But I think maybe you'll get like that 420 test, maybe another bounce off that resistance. I think you'll get that bounce. It'll come back down. You're going to get a period of, and this was basically a change of momentum. This is a huge move. I'm not going to discount this move, which makes me think this next move is going to be beautiful. We rise back up. Perhaps we get a little tiny dip. The reason I say little tiny dip is this was so huge. I think something big is setting up. I think it'll get that breakout. You're going to get this period of consolidation. You're going to get that second trend line. So you've got one, you've got two. You've got one, you've got two. This was a 4-month downtrend. 4 months. So this takes us to like, that's like 120 days is 4 months. 153 days. I mean, you can argue that was like essentially 5 months, but it bottomed at like that 4-month mark, in right after the 4-month mark. But it wasn't until the 5-month that you got that big move. If it's similar, you guys could be potentially not looking at that big move until August, as soon as, you know, June, July. So that's what I think. I think that's just way it's the way the timing works on this stock. I've seen it time and time again. I've dropped the stats. You guys know the statistics. If you guys don't know the statistics, 100% of all rally downtrends take at least 3 months minimum. 100%. If you exclude essentially this. Now, if you want to make an argument that this is actually what's playing out, okay, sure, maybe that'd be beautiful. Completely different stock at the time, completely different era. But if that's what you think it is, by all means, you're betting like on an anomaly here. And I think even this took some time to resolve, this downtrend. It took 60 days. Now, I don't think that's going to be the case here, because you've got basically an entire years and years and years and years and years of the stock. And I've talked about this. 3 months, 4 months. And I think it was like something like 3 months, or that might have been 4 months. There's 5 months, there's 4 months, there's 3 months, there's 3 months, and then the most recently, sorry, now we're going to zoom in here because you can't even see the chart. This was 3 months, and that was another 3 months. Oh, sorry, this was 4 months actually, sorry. 4 months. I think we're going to get to that 3 and 4 month mark. That's I have a hard time kind of getting behind that. Like, this is it. Call me like just like scarred from like following NIO for so long, but this is just what I expect. I expect nothing less from NIO actually, because that's just kind of the way it behaves. Now, if I were being fair and we wanted to just not use that as any basis of a technical analysis and just say like, hey, let's just like follow a similar system, There's your first trend line breakout. There's going to be your second trend line breakout. Now, do we have anything that supports this big move drop that's going to come? Well, there is something that I'm seeing that would support like a bigger move down drop. We're going to look at the velocity on the 2-hour. This looks messy. We've kind of now broken below the 200-day moving average on that 2 hours, which kind of almost signals this rally is done. It's ready for a healthy pullback. And I'm going to point out to where I see that. I see that, we're well below the 200-day moving average, which kind of happened right around here. And you can see over here, it tried to recover, actually. Tried to recover, and it just continued to break down in the same sense that perhaps this is trying to recover here, but for me to be like, and just look at technicals from a technical perspective, for this to see this break back above, take a look. So we've got here, you need to at least get a breakout on that velocity right here, which we got right here, to mention that the momentum shifting. And what I would like to see is like a second breakout right here. And so where are we right now from a velocity standpoint of view? Like we are essentially below this. We haven't broken above this. So this is my confluence. I don't like using my indicator because I feel like it takes you away from the chart. The chart truly is what you want to be paying attention to. That's how you're really going to understand price action. This gives you hints, but I don't think this is how you should be leading, is by looking at an indicator, because you'll get lost from the big picture. So here's the big picture that I can see possibly playing on. And I've actually shared this as a possibility well in advance. Again, 24 hours. You want confluence as to why the bottom is not in. Back in where was it? Back in February, I started saying, I'm not liking what I'm seeing, because I didn't like that the 200-day moving average made a lower low, because I knew the last time it did that was here. And what was the following move? A short run followed by a big move down. And notice how it gave you that pit stop before it went like this. It was essentially, it went down in two moves. One, stop, down, one, stop, and down. Is it going to do that? Maybe. And there's something else that I don't like right now that I'm seeing on the 24-hour time chart is I don't like that it made a lower low here yet again, which has me doubting this entire rally, which makes me think this was just a dead cat bounce, a really big one, a really nice one. It was 50%. That moved up 50%, rejected the 50%. Now, until I see otherwise, I will not be getting super duper excited for this. What I want to see happen for me to get super duper bullish for this, that was your original line in the sand. We actually have a new trend line, by the way. You can't see it. It's so minor. On the 24 hours, it's hard. So, but on the 4, that's not that great. It's not going to do justice. We have this. I'm going to draw it like that. I'm going to just remove this. And I'm starting to believe very much that this is going to be playing out here. I want to give some credit where credit is due. This was a really, really big move. And I think it's signaling something bigger is about to change here. But I also don't think it eliminates the fact that there needs to be a healthy pullback. And if it was going to be a healthy pullback, and one that will probably ruffle most of everybody's feathers, is it'll come down to 340, 350. Why would that ruffle people's feathers? Is because that takes us down below the golden pocket. But it also forms a higher low. Relative to this, relative to this, relative to this, you got a higher low. And I think that would just be like a classic, like, we're going to ruffle a lot of people's feathers. The bears are going to start getting loud here. And but this move is not to be taken lightly, because I think with the following move, regardless of where it bottoms, maybe it bottoms at 370, but maybe it comes to 340, maybe it comes all the way to 3. I think the next move is going to be an immediate retest of that trend line. Let's zoom in more. I think it'll be an immediate retest because the momentum is so good. I think you'll get a small dip followed by that breakout. But I also think that breakout will be followed by another period of consolidation. Why? Well, that's our thesis is every big move takes two trend lines to break, especially one that ends up going on a longer downtrend. So this is going to do that. Boom. 2. And of course, confluence on the 2 hours. You wanted a signal for when the bottom was in. 1, trend line breaking, and essentially 2. Okay, that's it. We're ready to go. You could have bought here with confidence at 320. Boom. Okay. And you could also sold here with confidence. That's 1 and that's 2. It's coming down from what I can see. And if I'm wrong, and next week is like, okay, psych, you're going to get that breakout, right? It'll make the second trend line, I think, as well. It'll break and then it'll run. But I don't think that's going to be next week, I think, guys. I think it's starting to break down. You could see it in the chart as well. So I don't want to like go too deep here. I don't want to like beat a dead horse. You guys can even see it. And I was being generous drawing that trend line here. I could have made the argument to even draw a trend line there. You could draw it there. But if I were even being the most generous, draw the most bottom 2 trend lines. It's now broken out. It broken down, and it could be bear flagging here and getting ready to just blast down. And I see that confluence in the velocity. Hang Seng Index. Okay, hang on. Before we go to Hang Seng, we're going to look at some other puzzle pieces. We're going to try and look at some other stocks here. We're going to look at Baba. Baba is still within its essentially. Baba's interesting actually here. Let me erase some of this. I was looking at it earlier. Baba's interesting. Baba's very interesting because I think what's happening with Baba is you're getting your very first breakout on Baba. And that's going to be your 1. And it also hasn't reclaimed this. We're going to do this. And I also think you're going to get this on Baba. Bearish, I know. It's bearish, but I'm sorry. I can't help it. This is just what I see. So if this was your 1, this is going to be your 2 that's going to form here. Good news on Baba is the 2 will set up for that big move. Back up, I think, actually. And I think the same thing is happening on Hang Seng Index. You go here, you could argue and be like, oh yeah, look, it broke out, but this is actually your first breakout. And essentially your dead cat bounce actually here hasn't given you your, if this was one move, which that's the way I see it. I see this as one move. And there's your dead cat bounce right at that golden pocket. You can see it's golden right there at right around 2,300. I do believe it's going to reject the golden pocket. I believe you're going to get a rejection, and it's going to come back down, and it's going to revisit the lows very close to around 1900s. It's going to get much lower actually. So, and I think that lines up with NIO and Baba. Now, that's just the way that's what I'm thinking. In the same sense where a lot of people are like, oh my God, like it's going to run, it's going to rally, it's ready to go. Again, there's your 1. And you can draw the 2 like this, or if you want it to kind of be more and catch the big 2. That was your 1. That was your 2, right? You guys see it now? We have our 1, and then it'll be our 2. And you can even argue that the 1 hasn't come there. I don't know. I'm just trying to think out loud here, guys. So, and I look at the 24-hour time frame here. When did things start going crazy, by the way? I'm going to erase everything. Mess. Big mess. 200-day moving average break. Break, pullback. Boom. Break, moderate pullback. You can see it gave you like a baby pullback. Boom. Where I think that big boom would actually take place is if this thing kind of goes, you'd want to get that break. Now, right now, we're still below. And you can see on that last, we stayed down here quite a bit. And now let me show you one more thing here. On the Hang Seng Index, you can do the same thing here and be like, all right, there is our first breakout. And that is our second. Okay. It's forming like that your lower high, and then boom. You could do the same thing, I think, over here. I mean, if you want to say, okay, like, oh, look, it broke out. I mean, it's still making lower lows. Okay, let's just, how would I do that? Okay, let's just say that was 1. I'm trying to think, would that be 2? No. How would I actually measure that? It's so weird. You would almost like have to draw it like this. That was your 1. First breakout, second breakout, and that first pullback. I think this is kind of like happening. You've got your first breakout here. So we are essentially in this phase. We are in this phase of the. So we're basically right over here, I think. Something like this. No, not quite. That's where I think we are in the cycle. And then I look at the S&P 500. It just broke above the golden pocket. And then I look at the VIX. I didn't say I was going to look at the VIX, but I'm just looking at the VIX here. Huge boom, right? I think that might have even broken, actually, if I draw that. It's already broken out of that trend line. I think the only thing it hasn't broken out of was this. And I just think something. It's in an uptrend, the VIX. And then you factor in the fact, and I've been sharing this on Twitter. Maybe you guys don't follow me on Twitter, but I've been tweeting about this. I think a big move is coming on the VIX. VIX is the volatility index. And when it did this, SPY did that. The 2 biggest traded strikes for the VIX is like $75, which would take out the highs, and also $36. By the way, $36 would be like a 60% run. Huge. And so let's just assume if this was like the first move, that was the wave 3, the wave 1, the wave 3, the wave 5 on that VIX. I mean, how big was this wave on that VIX? It was a 2.61. What that means is wave 5 can't be bigger than wave 3. You can kind of see where you can maybe get that big move. Something, and then you, and on top of this, guys, you've got every single day Trump keeps saying like, not afraid of a recession. This is Biden's market. We need the rates lower. And Jay Powell needs to drop the rates. He has not dropped the rates. We know the debt's due in June. And we know that, the narrative was Trump crashed the market intentionally. Is he going to do it again? I don't know. I think so. And I think right now, I actually, I bought some puts, which I ended up cashing out of. They went like within 2 days, I lost 40%. I didn't go big. I bought only a couple contracts, and they were like 3-week expiries. And I bought like 530s. And I think I bought them right around here, thinking like, man, this is going to get rejected. I think I was a bit early. I may look to kind of re-enter in it, but I think what you're seeing here is that we're going to see a potential big move back down. That's the camp I'm in. And because when I see SPY go down, if I see Hang Seng kind of start coming down, and then you look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's interesting. It's also one that's kind of right at that golden pocket, rejecting golden pocket. So if golden pocket kind of comes down, that was a big breakout. And I think it will also give you that pullback. You could even see like this really big flush, I think. Big flush, possibly. I have a hard time, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but this is how I see this. And I look at the Dixie. Dixie hasn't had its big move yet, which is the US dollar. This is something that, and it momentarily for a short period of time, it hit like 97. How low was that? It was 97.9, and it's up already to 100. Back above its first trend line and second trend line. And then I look at the velocity. Is there confluence that we're about to see a run? Okay. That was your first breakout right over here. And you can even see on the chart. This was your second breakout. And this was the first pullback after the second breakout. And once it gives you that move, oh, I didn't want to delete all of that. And once it gives you this move, I'll break above the 200-day moving average, which, I mean, it's inches from doing that. I think we're going to see 104 on the Dixie. And if it wants to do what it did last time, you could see as high as 110 on the Dixie. So if you are kind of sitting in a cash position and you're like, just like, holy cow, what I think is was happening here, and this is just my theory and my thesis, I think for a lot of people who are sitting in cash positions, they were getting squeezed. And what I mean by that is, say you were sitting in a cash position and you're like, man, I don't want to play this market because it looks scary. I think it's going to drop. So they drop, the US dollar drops, and you're like, man, like, where do I put my US dollars? My cash is, my portfolio like dropped like so much. And even from here, my portfolio is dropping. I'm losing like 4%. It's not as valuable. Okay, let's go shove it into the stock market because that must be what it means. So now you shove your money into the stock market at its lowest value, and the stock market starts declining. They're squeezing like cash positions, I think. If you're sitting in, I think if for those, they want those in a cash position to look at this and think like, oh my God, my US dollar, it's going to zero, and I need to just shove it in the stock market. But then you look at the stock market and you look at the conditions. I think it would be a really bad time to do that. I think the US dollar is going to get a rally very, very soon. It supports also my thesis that, there's going to be some pain potentially coming. Again, I may sound very confident. I want to just say I could be wrong. You guys could be right. Maybe you guys know better than me. This is just what I'm seeing. I'm sharing what I'm seeing. It might be wrong. Take what I say with a grain of salt. I'm trying to think if I forgot anything. I don't think I did. I think I made my case as to why I think NIO, this was a dead cat bounce. Again, if you want me to sum that up and wrap that up, I'll do that real fast here. I think we have like essentially where did it go? I think we have a dead cat bounce, and I will be proven wrong on 2 occasions where I'm going to start reevaluating and just say, hey guys, got it wrong. I apologize. This is the way I see it. If Neil wants to prove me and everybody else wrong, and particularly me, what it will do, and maybe you guys are saying like, oh, that laser, he's bearish again. If it's going to prove me wrong, it's going to break above this trend line and it's going to break above that trend line. Very simple. Maybe this is your squeeze to all-time highs. I mean, like, maybe it does that. And maybe I got it all wrong. I'll see it. Here's the beauty of this. I will be able to see that, and I will be able to flip my position when I have that line. Like, if this is going to break above both 409 and 430, and it gives you that pullback, I'm going to have time to flip my stance and be bearish without missing a major move up. Like if there's going to be that major move up. Until then, I remain cautious. I don't see anything worth kind of running after, chasing after. And I think that truly you got to be careful. You go on Twitter, there's 2 camps. There's the camp that says melt up. There's a lot of people saying melt up. This is the last melt up before the recession. And there's others that are saying like, hey, slow down. Maybe not a melt up. You know, let's just play it cautiously. I'm cautious, guys. Oh, I want to talk about one last thing. I'm sorry. This is going to be important. And maybe this is actually basic common sense for you guys, but I just learned about this the other day and I'm trying to actually apply it to my sizing and trading strategy. And I thought like, man, I'd love to share this with y'all. So you guys share this with me. So, if you had a portfolio, and for the sake of like rounding the numbers, if your portfolio, and I know a lot of you guys have way bigger portfolios. I think there's some like 6, potentially 7-figure portfolios that are following me, and you have a huge amount in NIO. But for the sake of argument, because round numbers are easy, if your portfolio was $10,000 and you wanted to actually jump in or dollar cost average into NIO, now this is not financial advice. This is just essentially something that I learned. So this is kind of like educational content, something for you to kind of consider if you want to manage your risk. And say, for instance, you think, it's 404. I think there's a chance it might go all the way down into and take the lows out at 3, which is let's just, for the math's sake, we'll call it 30%. Say it's going to drop 30. I think it might drop 30%. And I'm going to stop out if it drops 30%. Okay. So how much do you account for if you want to invest into NIO if you think the downside is 30%? Okay. Well, I learned that if what you do is you take your portfolio, you take 1% of your portfolio, which would actually be $100, divide it by 30%, which is essentially 0.3. And 100 divided by 0.3, I think that would be essentially $3,000, $333. I apologize if I did the math wrong. I was doing mental math. If I got that wrong, I think that's what that is. So if you invested today at 404, $3,333, and your portfolio was 10 grand, and NIO decided to drop down to $3.04, you would lose $100. You would end up losing only $100 because if you took 30% of that, wait, does that I did something really wrong here. 0.3, it's $333. I did that way wrong. It was supposed to be $333. Sorry, I did my math was so wrong. By 0.3, if it makes sense. And so if it dropped, you only lost $100 with that swing. And your whole portfolio would only drop 1%. And it would be like, you could sleep at night. Now, maybe you think it's only going to drop 5%. That's different now. Now you invest $2,000. And if it drops 5%, if it did drop 5%, you would lose only $100. Say you think I think the bottom's in, and I'm gonna give myself zero wiggle room, and I'm gonna it's surely gonna blast off tomorrow, and it's gonna go 1%, which is unrealistic, I think. But if you did that, that would essentially be $10,000. I'm just gonna put all my money in there, and so as you can clearly see, that's totally unrealistic. But that's the idea. And so when you're wanting to like size and position, you got to think about what are the potential downsides. This is something that I've been learning about when wanting to play different stocks. No, this is not the size of my portfolio, but the math applies. It applies to all stocks. And so if you're only losing 1% on a trade that goes wrong, but then you kind of go up, it's a way to risk manage. I thought I'd share that with you guys. I'm curious to know if you guys have any risk management strategy when it comes to investing in stocks, or if you guys are just, YOLOing. And if you guys are just, I don't care, I'm throwing my whole portfolio in. I'm just curious to know if you guys actually apply that risk management strategy. I know with NIO, it's different for a lot of people. You guys are long-term investors. You likely have, a much more larger investment into NIO, but curious to know if you have some sort of risk management strategy. That is something that I've been thinking about a lot more. And I thought it was worth sharing. That ends my video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed my video. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for watching. And that's it. That's all. Have a wonderful weekend and cheers, guys. Take care.